you start to get a bit more of a sense of the previous grandeur of this space. It's got this gorgeous tiled floor. Turning around, you can see this quite impressive staircase. The man that built this, James Barry, was very prominent. To my mind, at least, they look kind of pagan motif. And beyond, if those trees weren't quite so thick, you would have a beautiful view up the river further. There isn't anything quite like it, or certainly they're quite rare. Again, this is a really beautiful, bright room. This one has that gorgeous sort of mottled effect on the ceramics. And this ground floor altogether are in pretty good shape. And so if the ground floor was in very good shape, or surprisingly good shape, things take a dramatic turn for the worse as we go upstairs. So this is the staircase, as I've already said, and quite, with the exception of a couple of missing stair rails, or soldiers I think they're called, is actually in pretty good condition. It's really impressive, actually. I love it, especially if you look from the stairs or the half landing up towards the landing. You can get a sense of just how grand this is. I can imagine these walls all replastered and painted, the banisters sanded and varnished, the floors with a new runner, or the stairs rather, with a new runner. This would be a really neat space. This room I'm reluctant to go into because it's one of the few that is genuinely unsafe. I think I can show you in the basement later, but down here in this bathroom, oh, I will go in. The floor joists are gone there along that wall, so I'll tread carefully. There isn't much in here, to be honest. This part of the house we suspect was a later addition. Not sure exactly when this was added, but it seems to be a later addition, probably in the advent of running water. They didn't want an outhouse, so they built this. And that was, at one point, the toilet. Still quite torn about what we're going to do in here. If we keep this as a bathroom, or potentially convert that into a smaller sort of secret bedroom. And here you can get a sense of the impact of all those holes that we saw in the roof and what that's been doing. So this years and years of water ingress has just devastated the upstairs of the house. This is coming onto the landing now. You can see the plaster has been just sort of decayed over the generations or decades. The ceiling here, I will admit that some of the ceiling has been taken down by me to get a sense of how much rot had taken hold of the timbers in the roof, but before I'd taken that down, it looked more or less like this. So that window we obviously have boarded up now. It's probably not giving you a great view, but the timbers here, this is under the valleys that we'd seen, are just done for. That just comes away in your hand. So this will all need to be replaced. That is of particular concern. That's a huge roof beam that's structural and is not in good shape. This is one of the bedrooms, and they're all pretty similar, the bedrooms, so I'm not going to do all of them, more because it would be quite boring, and also because some of them don't have any natural light and it would be hard to see. There's no electricity or water or sewage in this building, so we don't have the ability to turn on a light at the minute. But you can see here some of the views out towards the sea, Valencia Island. This is looking up the River Firthe, out over the walled garden out towards the fields. And another really beautiful fireplace up here. I think this might actually be my favorite one, this sort of marine blue, but it's just spectacularly beautiful. We'll need a new grate, but that's doable. And they say this room was the blue room, and then I think the one next door was the pink room. No clue why. That is the pink room, which we're not going to go into because there's no light. You can get a sense of just how scary it is in here. Quite spooky. And then these two rooms, very little to report in here other than the difference in the fireplace. So they actually both have the same fireplace, these two, this one and the neighbour next door. This is interesting, I thought. So as I was peeling away some of this wallpaper to see what condition the plaster work was in, we came across this note. And I don't know if you can make that out here, but I'll try and read it. It says, James O'Connor, Eugene Hogan, I think, William Mahon, Painters, Tralee, May 9th, 1924. So presumably when this house was being redecorated after that disaster in 1922, these men were employed by the then owner. The owner at that time was called Bartholomew Sheehan, to come in and redecorate. And when they were doing it, they wrote their names and signed it, and that survived in spite of all of the years of neglect and weather and water ingress and all the rest of it, vandalism. Their signatures survived over 100 years. That's just incredible. And then you've got the last room here, which is an identical fireplace to the previous one, the one we just looked at. You can see here, this black on the wall, I was terrified that was, I don't know, some sort of black mold or something. It's actually tar. So behind the wall here, there is a chimney running from downstairs. So the chimney breast would run up here and out that way to go through the roof. And the tar seeping through is just the result of years and years of fires and all of the tar generated by the burning of turf, most likely, or wood, I'm not sure what. Maybe it's not tar, but dirty stuff. And you can smell it when you're in here. It smells smoky. So hoping that in time that smell will dissipate as we sort of strip back the plaster and the materials that are clinging onto it. And again, another neglected but operational window. This will be rescued. We want to actually do a lot of this work ourselves. I'm going to try and restore as much of these windows as I can. But this one, in spite of it working currently, you can see it's quite worm-eaten. The woodworm has been at this, and that's just coming apart in your hand, really. So not ideal. And we want to get that out of the house as quickly as possible because that will spread to other parts of the house if it hasn't already. Yeah, that is not good. So that's the upstairs. I'm starting to think that there might be some sort of supernatural thing at play down here because, well, you'll understand why when I get down here. I'm gonna keep the torch on because it's quite terrifying down here. The basement would have been servants' quarters and also where a lot of the work of the staff would have been done. I'm here on my own, and every time I hear a noise like that, I don't know if the camera's picking it up. This was, I would imagine, used originally as a fuel store for either coal or turf or maybe wood, and that would account for the name of this house. So as I've said already, the house is called Villanova, which means new villa or new house. So presumably there was an older house here